I want to welcome everybody back. This is week 2 of our mini webinar series. So this week we're going to dive into quizzes.com, and this is one of my favorite websites to use. We're going to be using this website as an opportunity to create online assessments that will have type 1, type 2, and type 3 questions. Just again, those type of questions. Type 1 is just your multiple choice, true or false. Type 2 is the questions where you have that short response, or like part B is related to part A. And then type 3, again, that's that short response is going to be in there, and it might be multiple parts to the question. So with that being said, I'm super excited to show you all how to use the website. I enjoy it because it has the gamey type feel, so kids normally like using it. It feels like a game. But with that also being said, that you do as a teacher have to remind kids often that, hey, don't just rush through it. This is why you want to have different types of questions, because you don't want them just picking just to pick, and then their score ends up being really bad. You want them to actually have to work it out and work through it. So we're going to show all those different things. We're actually going to get a chance to see what it looks like for the students as well. And this should just be a really laid back, really good website to use as a warm up, exit ticket, as an actual test, and also in the middle of classwork. They have a lesson feature that I'm going to show. You can use it as your full lesson. So let's hop right in. So you go to this website, Quizzes, and from there you can log in, and you can log in with Google, and you can use your PGCPS email. You already have an account through Clever. And from there, this is your dashboard. As I spoke on the new lessons, they have those lessons that you can look up, and also that you can create your notification. Just let you know when a test has ended that you posted, or a quiz. Recommendations, things with your content that you create enough of. So I create a lot of Math 8 and some pre-algebra for my FFA students, and then other things you might just be interested in. I always find this list interesting on days where I maybe just like enrichment, and I want to do something that's not necessarily math topic. Always cool. Um, so a few different things. Classes can be linked straight to Google Classroom. You literally just click update, and it'll ask you the first time to link your classes. And then once you've done that, well, to link your Google Classroom, once you've done that, you can choose which classes that you want. You do have the ability to get parents' emails in here, so that parents can get the reports every time their student does an activity, which is just another great way of getting that reached out to parents. Um, Now, that would require the students actually putting their parents' emails in, which means they would need to know them. Um, so I don't make them because I already have multiple ways of reaching out. And at the same time, every activity we do, I don't want parents being afraid, like, oh my goodness, they did terrible today. Well, it may be classwork that we're working on that they may not have been ready to do good on. So I don't want the parents worried about that as well. All right, then your reports area, you will have a list of reports. You can filter them by class, so that you can easily, for grading wise, just be able to hop in. You can also filter by date. You can select the date. You can make the filter based off how far you want to go back. This new feature, which is really cool, is the reopen feature, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when I show you about assigning work. And then you have your library. Like for me, I have 140 different tests I've created. So I make collections, which are just whatever topic you click, you make a collection, and you can add the test to the collection by clicking this save button. When I click it, it brings up all my collections, or I can start a new one. And that way, I don't got to run through all 40 when I need a topic. Right now, we're doing square roots and cube roots. So when I click square roots and cube roots, I can now see I got 14 tests in there. I can order them by most recent, least recent, or just alphabetical. And then I can separate between quizzes or lessons. And another cool thing is I can share my, which I already have with my 8th grade teachers. I can share this collection with them. All right, so now let's get into the actual creation of it, right? So you click create, you're gonna go to quiz. And you choose the name. So let's just go with all right, and they make you choose some type of topic. And actually, what I'll do, I'll name this the quiz test week 2. So now you created it. You have a name. If you want, you can add an image. You can copy and paste the link, or you drag and drop. Let's see if we have a cool image to add. If I have one, it'd probably be somewhere in here. And I think all of these are actual problems. I don't know if I'm gonna download. Oh, that's my football picture. Let's use this one. And you also choose what grade, so professional development. All right, so now I have an image. It lets you know that this is professional development. Now, if you already have your questions that you want to preload, so there is a sample template that you can use. And when you click import from spreadsheet, you could download the template right there that I just downloaded. I don't know where it just went to. Let me see if it opened up. Okay, so it did open. Let me share. Stop sharing really quickly. All right, so as you can see, you would put the question first, decide what type do you want it to be, multiple choice, checkbox, fill in the blank, open-ended. From there, your text, your options, right? So you gotta do at least, if you're doing multiple choice, you gotta do at least 2 choices. Then you have all the way up to 5. So down here, you choose what the answer is and how many seconds. You choose how many seconds you want them to have. Now the time, you can turn off the time, which is another reason I love quizzes. It's because you can turn off the time and they don't get affected by it, but you have to choose a time for each question. But you don't have to use it once you actually assign the work. And then over here, if you have an image, you put in the link to that image and it will show. All right. So with this, that's cool because you can just type it in here. Then you can change. So like they have fill in the blank. So you would type the answer for the fill in the blanks. And then these are like choices that they can make. If they write them like this, it'll now be correct. And then you leave the rest of your choices blank. And then you leave that final option blank as well. And then you also, there are polls, so you can create a poll. And the question is, which of these is your favorite? And there's polls. For the open-ended, there's no answer because it's open-ended. I mean, it might be a correct answer, but you don't put it in there. That's something that you would grade at the end. Okay, so now, that's if you import it from a spreadsheet, right? For any other test, you get two options. Well, you get six options from what you can see, right? But not counting the slides, because you could add a slide to a test, but I believe it would then make it a lesson and not an actual quiz. So you have multiple choice checkbox, and that's just select the amount when they say checkbox. Fill in the blank, open ended, and poll. Which poll you don't get a right or wrong when you do a poll. But the other really cool option is you can also quote unquote teleport. So training quizzes, right? It takes whatever I have at the top, and it includes all public quizzes and whatever you have typed up here is going to bring the most relevant. So it just says training quizzes. So now this test is apparently about training for quizzes, right? Another one, training for quizzes. But if I wanted to do square roots, I would type in square root, and now I get a whole bunch of different tests created by people dealing with perfect squares and square roots. So I would scroll over. When I go over each problem, add button pops up. So I would just click add. I can add that one. I can scroll through and decide, I want this one. Add. When I'm done, I simply click away. Or also, there's a button right here that sends it away. So now those two questions are added, just like that. I can change the time that they should spend. I can tag, meaning I can just put some type of topic, and I'll show you later why this can be helpful. And so it already has it pre-typed in now that I've done it once. All right. So those both are multiple choice, which is our type 1 questions. Now, if I wanted to create my own, I would just click the red button. And the funny thing is, once you go to create a question, you can switch it at any time to any of the questions, right? So a few different things. Some of the cool things they just added. Audio and video are both brand new. So you can literally add a YouTube video and then ask a question and have them answer. For audio, you can record yourself. Now, I've tested this out. The big thing is just making sure the students' devices are prepared to be able to use this audio, because I have had students have a problem with not hearing the question that I asked. But you just simply record. It tells you it's recording. Hey, what is the color of the sky? What is the color of the sky? Right, and so you either save it or you delete it. If you save it, it pops up. That's the question. Now you still can write the question, so you could be doing two things, trying to help maybe your ELL students who might have struggled with reading English. You also say it out loud. Also, any other students who may have visibility disabilities, and so saying it out loud allows them to be able to actively do the assignment as well. And as we said, you can add a YouTube video. So let me hop to YouTube really quickly and try to get a square root video or something. So exponents and square roots.
Quality writing makes your schoolwork better.
All right. So then when we get back, we click video, paste our URL. So now I can shorten it to however short I want it to be. So if I only want this section of the video,
Previously,
out.
we learned that this is the same as 4 times 4, which equals 16. Doing this exponent,
So I can see, all right, cool, that's where I want to be. Click save. Hopefully I can click save. Yeah, my computer just moving a little slow. Click save. Now that video will be there. I can now ask, what is, and now the other option, and this is for math type problems, I can add in x squared equal to. So they watched the video to help them. Then I asked them what is x squared equal to. And then down here, fun things, I can just add a picture as a selection. I can just add a picture. I can still type answers here. I also can, if you want to have it look really nice for math reasons. I've tried in 8th grade to get them away from using x as multiplication and using a dot instead. So if you want to be able to type that in, this is where you'll go. Now it looks like x times x versus having to do x star x. And you always have up to 5 choices, right? And for whatever other contents may use some of these Greek letters or whatever, for whatever reason, I don't really know why, but you have that option as well. So I can just say theta is the choice, or omega, sorry. Where's that theta? I don't remember. And then I can add another topic. Let's just say root is a topic. And I'm just showing you these different things for later. You're going to see why. And then you always have to choose a time. Now remember, once you assign the activity, the times do not have to be utilized. Now, another cool thing is they put the explanation piece into it, so students will get instant feedback on why the answer is correct. So I could record myself saying, x squared equals x times x, because the exponent in x squared is 2 and the base in x squared is x. So 2 tells us to multiply the base times itself twice. Therefore, x times x is what equals x squared. And I save that. And now once they finish answering this problem, they'll get this sound bite. Oh, and I also have to choose which one is the right currency. It won't let you save it without choosing. So that's how you create the multiple choice problem, and you also can find multiple choice problems. So now, another multiple choice, but still a little bit harder. Obviously, we always have that. The students, we know the select all that apply. Right, so right now we're learning about perfect squares. So if I wanted to give the students a list of 5 different numbers, and I ask them to select all that apply, select all that are perfect squares, we know sometimes our students struggle with understanding when they say select all that the answer could be more than one. Right? So one thing I try to do is you have these different fonts you can use. You can make it Italianized. You can underline it. You can even change the color to blue, green, or red. And how you see it over here is how they will see it when they do the activity. All right. You also, if you needed to, could use emojis, currency symbols, Latin symbols, Greek letters, and then just simple math stuff that you may need. but you can also add emojis. And they actually have meanings for these emojis, which is funny. I never knew that was the face savoring delicious food. I didn't know that's what that meant. But you learn something new every day. All right, so then again, if you try to click save before you do anything, it won't. It'll make you have to choose the answers. And so because this is select all, you all so you can't do a problem where it's like a select all, none of them are right unless you put none of the above. So actually, I might do that. Or I would say maybe none of the are perfect squares. And I'll change that because everybody's device won't put them in order, like from top. Like it won't be above. Some of their devices will have them be next to each other. It just depends on how big their screen is. And then again, you can explain why. And now we'll add a topic. Um, Boom. All right. So now we're done with type 1. If you want to make these tests and use it to be able to make type 2, type 3 questions, right? If for math, at least, I can say type 2 means that you got a part A and then you got a part B that is related to part A, right? So you would want your questions to be in order. So let's say the first question is, what is 5 plus 2, right? And so I'm just doing the math without actually clicking that formula thing because all of it, like 5 plus 2, that's going to look normal, right? So 3, 4, 5, 7. All right. So boom. So now my next question will simply be using the answer from the previous question, what is a meaning? What is that answer times, or no, minus 4 equal to? And so now I made this a fill in the blank. So now they're really going to have to use their own brain. There's no like choice that can kind of say, oh, I know what the answer will be because I see all these answers now. I know what to do. This is forcing them to use their own brain to break down the question and make sense of it. And they won't be able to go back to the previous problem. So they will also have to use their own memory on like what was the answer to the previous problem and making sure they know, which also if you do it enough times will create them to start making sure they're writing down their problems inside their notebooks. And that's what we want anyway. And so all you do on your side is you can have 5 answer choices that work, and it comes better and handy for different type of problems. I'll show another one. This one, um, they should just easily put 3. There's no other really alternative unless you want to write out 3, just in case they type it, the actual word. But I wouldn't see any other need to put any other alternative answer. All right. So again, we know if we wanted to, we could put an explanation down there. We save it. So that's our first short response. For other topics that aren't math, if your type 2 just means short response, That's exactly this fill in the blank one. And I guess that's not a short response. It's more of a fill in the blank because it's not a long response. It's not sentences. It is just that's again useful really for math because we have a blank. Like if I give them a problem and I want them just to answer that problem, they fill in the blank on their own, right? It may be good for vocab or different things like that in other units, or maybe grammar and RELA, you know, defining different things, as I said, or maybe even in science, if you have an image and you upload the image of I don't know, a cell, and it says fill in what is the missing part of the diagram, and so then they got to type in the word that's missing, right? Um, so now we want to get into that type three, that open ended question of I don't know with this problem. So I might let me do a fill in the blank first, really quickly, because I did want to show you all um, whatever reason they may need multiple ways to answer. Um, so an example could be square root. No, not square root. Right. Right. X to the fourth. So I'll do that so it looks nice. X to the fourth and expand it. This way, right, the first time. Form. Right? So write X to the fourth and expand it form. So I'm having them write it out on their own. So with that being said, you know there'll be misconceptions. So the first one you gotta think of, you might want to put your own way of writing it first. So they won't have that math option. So they can't put X and then get the perfect dot. So what I taught my kids was to use the star, right? So then you got to think of other ways. Well, more than likely, they're probably not going to put X, X, X like four X's, but they could. There might be a student who just puts four X's, and that's it, right? Um, if they've learned about parentheses, they could possibly do the parentheses. Another one I've seen is the dots. They'll just do four dots, right? And if I did one more, I probably would just put space because they will mark things wrong if they are not spaced correctly, which I know is a really annoying thing. One of their kinks that they haven't got fixed. Um, and then again, you can explain, right? So that's just how alternatives work. They show like that's the answer we're looking for, but if they do any of these, they also still will get it right. So now for our tier three, our open-endedness. Um, this is where, and I know I think I have a picture. I might have it deleted actually already. Oh. So I can upload this picture. I don't know why this just got so small. Let me refresh this really quickly. All right, so we're working on open-ended. So if I added this picture and I asked which numbers can be or are perfect squares and perfect cubes and why. So now there is no, I can add a fun fact to the answer after they submit, but there is no choice of like, there is no choice for me to put in the answer because it is that short response, short or long, depending on how long they want to write, right? And this won't get, that question wouldn't get graded until I completed that question. So now we've looked at all the different questions. Of course, the last one is the polls. And as I said, this wouldn't be graded. That's why it's blue. It won't even ask you to choose. Only thing it will ask you is if people can choose more than one. So, was or how do you feel after this training? Motivated, overwhelmed, happy, encouraged, worried. And so I could either say, yeah, they can select all they want, or they only get to choose one, right? Um, Boom. Blue means there's no correct answer. And so that would be the key. That would be the big part here. I mean, honestly, it just keeps going based off how many questions you want to actually put together. The only other piece of these, like using the previous questions, is as you assign it, you wouldn't shuffle the order of the questions because you would need them to be in order, which is a simple thing. It's just your choice, and we're going to actually look at that next. So when you're done, you'll click done, it saves it. It pulls it up, right? And so now this is in my library, but when you just pop out, you don't even have to click anything. It brings you straight there. So I'm going to talk about both of these, starting a live quiz and also assigning homework. And I remember I told you this is the save. You click save, it puts it in one of your collections if you choose so, or you actually can start a new collection. So cool thing introduced this year because of virtual learning is instructor paced. So if during class you wanted to give a actual classwork activity and you wanted it to go on your time, because another reason I had fell in love with quizzes when I first started teaching and I knew about Kahoot was that students work at their own pace versus having to wait having to wait for you as the teacher to answer the next question. But now the instructor pace is kind of more useful because I can't walk around to each student and look at their paper and help them out behind their screens like I could in the building. So I actually tend to use instructor pace more than I do the classic because that way I can randomly call on somebody to answer a question out loud and make sure we're all following and working together. All right. But nevertheless, either one you choose, right? If you choose the classic, so classic again, everybody works at their own pace. They complete individually, and it feels like a game. So you make your decision. You also have team based, which I absolutely loved when I was in school because I give group grades, and I felt like it made people work as a group. And then if somebody, if one person in the group knew it, then a lot of times they were able now to work with their peers and explain what they knew. Everybody still will have their own device, and this still can be done at home, but it's a lot different. It's a lot different at home than it was in the building. And then there's the test aspect where it takes away all the fun and tries to make it more about being a test. So the music is turned off. Um, they normally get like these quote unquote power ups that gets taken away. There's a leaderboard that gets taken away. And so it makes the feel more like an actual test. So let's look at the classic, right? If you have your Google Classroom set up, you actually can assign this to whatever classes, and you can put a description for it and it will stay, but I'm not going to do that. In your advanced setting, now, the only way this works, right, in your advanced setting, your attempts is if the students log in. Like they will have to log in. You tell them to log in just like you did with Google, and then you will be able to number their attempts up to 5. Right? I normally, for most of my things, give them twice, but they will have to log in order to be able to have multiple attempts. Well, for you to limit their attempts. Otherwise, it automatically stays as unlimited. Um, Depending on what you're doing, if you know you're not grading it, but you want everybody to go and don't want anybody to be embarrassed, you can use the name factory. And so when they log in, they'll get like a funny name. But that way, when you're showing your screen, you don't have to worry about anybody being worried about their name showing up. Now, these are key ones. Showing answers during activity. You know, if you are doing work as a group during class, you may want to have this on. So when they answer, they'll know if they got it right, and if they got it wrong, they'll know what the right answer should be. I always have it to validate only because I use it for much more, and I don't want to have to remember each time to make sure it says validate only. And that just means that it will tell them that they answered, and if they got it right, it'll tell them that they got it right. But if they got it wrong, it'll tell them if they got it wrong, but it won't tell them what the correct answer is. If you turn it off altogether, it literally will just, when they answer, it'll just go to the next problem. It won't tell them if it's right, wrong, none of that. So I do let them know if they got it right or wrong. I just don't let them see what the correct answer is. And this is another one that was big when I used to use it in class a lot to cut down on cheating. I changed it to questions only because what will happen, somebody might finish, and then at the end they can see all the correct answers. Plus, I normally give them twice to do it. So because they can see all the correct answers at the end, they will just start over in a new tab, and then they will have all the answers, right? So I let them see the questions because if they have a question about something they got wrong, and it'll show them which ones they got right or wrong, the question itself, it just won't show them the answer. And then that way they can come to me and ask for help on questions that they got wrong. Now, if you turn it off altogether, then they don't even know what questions they got wrong or right when it's over. They just see what their score is. So I always leave it set to questions. The next one, power, like this down here is based all upon what you need. So as I said, my timer is never on because I don't want them to worry about the timer, and I don't want them to have to worry that they're going to get rushed, right? Now, power boards and power ups and the leaderboard are connected. If you turn off the leaderboard, well, computer froze a little bit. If you turn it off, it automatically turns off power ups. If you keep it on, then you have the ability to turn off power ups and still have a leaderboard. A little fun aspect of quizzes, so I tend to leave it on. Unless, I mean, for the most part, I leave it on. Unless I'm doing the test, aspect, that's the only time I turn it off. Now, same thing. If I wanted to be more serious, I will turn off the leaderboard, and that automatically turns off power ups. The shuffle the questions, shuffle the answers. This all depends. If you have a problem like I have in mind where it says use the previous answer, then you want to turn that shuffle question off, right? I tend to shuffle them because I don't want the kids getting all the same answers in a row. So if one student automatically knows the answer to number two, then they can tell everybody the answer to number two. So that's why I tend to shuffle my questions. But in this instance, I would turn it off. Now you can still have your answers shuffled. And then the redemption question, it normally allows the students to reattempt one or two questions. It could be up to three, depending on how big the quiz is. Um, so it allows them to reattempt those questions before they finish. Again, choice for you to use it or not. And then show funny memes. They have memes that the kids can answer. Not answer. The kids get to see as they're going. And again, it's just a cool way to have fun. So let's hop in and see what this thing looks actually. So this is the screen that you would share. You can just share your screen with the students, and if you would have shared it in Google, it would have went straight to Google, and it'll say it's already shared in Google Classroom. If you wanted to copy the link, you can just copy it and paste it right into your Zoom chat. Nobody's in, so I can't start. Probably one of the best things about this is that you can do the activity. You can start and still allow others to continue to join even after you start it, and they're not like behind. They're not going to lose points for starting after, if that makes sense. So I'm going to join on my phone because I have the app on my phone, just so you all can see from that teacher area. So boom, I popped in. So there's music. It's really loud. I tend to turn it off because I like playing my own music anyway. And the music changes based off the themes. Now, I'm pretty sure it's only like two themes, but the music changes. I have a paid subscription, so I got like a few other themes as well. And so you see this leaderboard, and this is what I talked about when you do the factory names. If you don't do factory names, everybody's names will be up here. And also with everybody's names being up here, you can see how many they're getting right or wrong. It doesn't say like the number, but you can see, okay, this person got one right, one wrong. You can see that accuracy level. So the class is that
equals x times x because the exponent in x squared is 2 and the base.
So that was that response that I gave, that I recorded, just playing itself out after one of the problems that I got wrong. All right. Now, if you let them use their own names, one thing I tend to do is click top 5 only. So that way it normally only shows students who are doing really good, because I don't want to put out somebody's name and they haven't got but this many, but one right, and they got all this red. I don't want to embarrass anybody. And then the other aspect, you can always just go to your questions and you have the choice to sort by accuracy. So I'll put them in order of how many of the class, which ones are being answered the most incorrect versus which ones are being answered the most correctly. So you get to do that as well. And now I'm gonna go ahead and end this because I want to show what it looks like as the person using the activity. Like, I want y'all to see what it's like, which you have the opportunity to do that. So from here, I am going to go to my library because that's where the activity would be. And I click preview, and it's going to bring me in as a student. So I can start. And my questions are in there. Now, I thought I turned off shuffle the questions, but If you long as you turn off that setting, it won't shuffle them. I think it's just going off my normal settings. So then it shows me the answer at the bottom of what it should have been. These are the memes that they talked about, and then it shows you the leaderboard. Now again, with the response, right? It doesn't say right or wrong because they don't give you no points for doing that. That's up to the teacher to grade later on. So this is the select, right? So it shows me, oh, I got 2 right, but I got 1 wrong. So therefore, I got it wrong.
Previously, we learned that this is the same as 4 times 4.
YouTube video, they can full screen it. Well, I thought I should have full screened it. I don't know where it went. Now, like, the problem's gone. Oh no, it's back again. So
Previously, we learned that
their full screen wouldn't do that, but they can also still listen to it. They can pause it, and then they get to choose.
X squared equals.
And that was me talking as that reason why. Now, I just want to show you all reports, and then we'll pretty much be done. As you can see, this was completed earlier by me. It lets you know how many people have attempted. This is 1, obviously. Oh wait, no, the questions were tagged. The topics were supposed to pop up, but I think because 1 question wasn't tagged, it didn't allow me to pop them up. But you also can see the amount of seconds somebody takes. You look at their overview, go over their problem. So I took 10 seconds on this problem. 5, 1, 1, 20. And even when you go through the problems yourself, the average time taken was 32. So I'll show y'all some of my real students' reports. So I go through, I can see the average time taken was 64 seconds. So I can see 17 out of 32 students who completed it with a 78% overall accuracy. I can when I wanna put grades in, I sort them by last name, and that way it's more closely resemblant to SchoolMax. It's not perfectly the same because it does some weird things like how Elias' name is above Nuha's, even though it's AL and that's AB. Sometimes they do weird ordering of names for whatever reason. Other than that, I believe, I hope this video has been helpful with using the Quizzes website to create these online assessments that have type 1, type 2, or type 3 questions. And I'll see you all next week.